If you're working in tech ops, you know the ground is constantly shifting under your feet. You've got all these job titles, DevOps, SRE, Cloud Engineer, and honestly, they're all starting to blur together. And now you throw AI into the mix, and it feels like everything is about to change all over again. So, where do you even focus? That's where we're going to unpack here. We're going to cut through the noise and figure out what the future of your career really looks like.
I mean, come on, you gotta love this. This comment from a Reddit thread just nails it, doesn't it? It's funny because it's true. But underneath the humor, it points to a real problem. Nobody seems to agree on what these jobs actually are. And that phrase, YAML therapy sessions, yeah, anyone who's spent a weekend fighting with a Kubernetes config file knows exactly what that feels like. It's this confusion that's driving the industry's next big move.
So that's the big question, isn't it? Are these just fancy new labels for the same old work, or is something more fundamental changing? We're going to break it down, starting with what's happening right now.
To really get a handle on where we're going, we first have to understand the dilemma we're currently in. The whole world of DevOps and infrastructure is, well, it's in flux, and that's created some real headaches.
And it's not just us saying this. Look at what people in the trenches are saying. You've got folks convinced they're all the same thing. People who've had all three titles and swear they did the exact same job. Then you have others who see it as a big mashup. A modern SRE has to be a cloud engineer and a DevOps person with a bit of old school sysadmin thrown in. And right in the middle of all this confusion, a new title starts to pop up, Platform Engineer. This identity crisis is really what set the stage for the next evolution.
And that's where platform engineering comes into the picture. Now, this isn't just another buzzword to throw on the pile. It's a very specific, very direct response to the growing pains of the whole DevOps movement. A lot of people think this is the next logical step.
Think about it. DevOps was absolutely revolutionary, right? Back in the late 2000s, it broke down those huge walls between developers and operations, and suddenly everything got faster. But by the mid-2010s, things started to get messy. Developers were suddenly expected to be experts on dozens of different tools, CI/CD pipelines, cloud infrastructure. The cognitive load was just massive. That's the stagnation, the problem that platform engineering was basically invented to solve.
So what's the actual difference? Well, DevOps, at its core, is about culture. It's a way of working, a philosophy to get teams to collaborate better. Platform engineering is different. It's about building a product, an internal platform that treats your own developers as the customers. The whole goal shifts from just, let's collaborate more, to let's make our developers' lives easier and reduce the amount of stuff they have to think about.
So, put simply, platform engineers build the paved road, the golden path for developers. They create self-service tools and automate all the underlying complexity so that the application teams can just focus on what they do best, shipping new features. They don't have to become experts in Kubernetes or cloud security, because the platform handles it for them.
Okay, so we've got the lay of the land. But now, let's get into the really fun stuff. What happens when we pour a whole lot of generative AI on top of all this? Let's jump ahead a few years and look at what the experts are predicting.
The first huge prediction is something called agent infrastructure. And we're not just talking about using AI to write a few lines of code here and there. We are talking about AI agents becoming like first-class citizens on your platform. They'll have their own permissions, their own resource quotas, managing entire systems pretty much on their own.
This really shows the massive leap we're talking about. Instead of just doing simple tasks you tell them to, these agents will be orchestrating whole, complex systems. Just imagine an AI that manages your deployments across the globe, or that rebalances resources based on live traffic, finding efficiencies a human would probably never even spot.
And if you want to go even further out, there's this idea of self-architecture. We're all used to self-healing systems, right? A service crashes, it gets restarted automatically. But this is on another level. We're talking about platforms that can actually re-architect themselves on the fly. Maybe they swap out cloud instance types to save money or restructure a service mesh to lower latency, all without a human ever touching it.
Now, this crazy AI-powered future is creating a new behavior that people have started calling vibe coding. It's kind of funny, but also a little scary. It's when a developer just tells an AI in plain English to generate some Terraform or a Kubernetes manifest. They don't fully understand what it spits out, but it has the right vibe. It feels right. And that creates a huge new risk that someone or something has to manage.
Okay, this all sounds absolutely incredible. It sounds like science fiction, but we need to hit the brakes for a second and get a serious reality check here. As developers start vibe coding their way through the day, one critical question pops up. Is the code the AI is writing actually any good? I mean,
That's the dream, isn't it? That you can just ask the AI and it'll generate perfect, secure, deployable code every single time. But can we actually trust it to do that? Well, some recent research gives us a really fascinating and kinda sobering answer.
Look at this number, 30.2%. According to a recent academic study, this is the success rate for Claude 3.5, one of the smartest AI models out there, when it was asked to generate infrastructure as code on its very first try. Less than a third of the time, it actually worked.
But here's the kicker. This is the really crucial part. While that first attempt failed most of the time, the same study found that if you gave the AI feedback from the deployment errors and let it try again, its success rate shot up to over 90%. So the AI can get it right, but not without that feedback loop. The iteration is everything.
And that gets to the heart of the problem. AI is amazing at writing code that looks perfect. The syntax is correct. It passes all the basic checks. But it fails in the real world because of all the messy, complex stuff, like resource dependencies or weird network configurations that you can only catch during a live deployment.
And this is where it all comes together. This is where the two parts of our story connect. If AI-generated code desperately needs that iterative feedback loop to work, well, the internal developer platform is the perfect thing to provide it. The platform becomes the safety net.
So in this new world, the platform's job description gets a major upgrade. It's not just there to provide tools anymore. It becomes the automated gatekeeper. Its new #1 job is to catch, to validate, and if necessary, to fix or reject all of this code that AI is pumping out.
So here's how that actually looks. Step 1, a developer vibe codes something within AI. Step 2, before that code can touch anything important, bam, the platform intercepts it. Then, step 3, it runs that code through an absolute gauntlet of checks, security scans, cost analysis, even a test deployment in a safe sandbox. And only then, if it passes every single test, does it get the green light to go to production.
All right, so if AI agents are managing the infrastructure and the platform is playing referee for the code, what's left for us, for the humans? Well, this isn't a story about people being replaced. It's a story about the job getting elevated. Your role as an engineer is going to shift big time. You move from being the person in the weeds, the hands-on implementer, to being the high-level strategist. Instead of wrestling with YAML files, you'll be the one defining the rules of the game, the constraints, and the business goals that the AI has to follow. You set the destination, and you let the automated systems figure out the drive. And that brings us to the final, and I think the most important question for your career. As all the technical details of how we build software get automated away by platforms and AI, our value has to shift. The most valuable human role, the thing we can do the machines can't, is going to be defining the why. Why are we building this in the first place? What are the goals? What does success actually look like? Answering those questions, that's a uniquely human skill, and that's the future of your job.